Yeah, I just wanted to quickly honor Ashlyn because I didn't get to talk about it much last night, but she actually came to Burma for 6 weeks while we were over there. She was going to be there for 2 weeks, and then it was going to be decided if she'd get to come on mission with us. And surprise, surprise, she was, cool enough to come on mission with us, and she hiked with us up these mountains, starved. She eats more than me, and I eat a lot, and so she starved. And we trucked up these mountains and just went through so much. And she's seen me in my best and my worst. And I got to just see her live out courageous womanhood. And I just wanted to honor you for that because the people that are here helping and particularly her. So when she was in Burma, I felt the Lord tell me you need to do a conference next year when you get back. I was like, a conference? Really? Okay. Just it wasn't something I'd ever thought of or something I'd been desiring to do. And it was just so the Lord, I'm on my bamboo little hut sitting there, God telling me to run a conference. And Ashlyn was there and I started jotting out ideas and I was like, well, you're going to do worship and you're going to help me. So you're being voluntold to participate and be part of this. And so it's just cool to be here. We were talking wow, that was back in November of last year in the jungle, just God saying okay, when you get back, you need to run a women's conference. I was like, okay. And so I kind of forgot to mention that last night, and also kind of how the podcast started too. It was just from I always was I would never be a podcaster. Everyone just wants to have their voice heard, and I'm not one of those people who just wants to because I've listened to some podcasts, and I honestly can't really stand podcasts, to be honest. I don't really listen to them, because I'm it's just a bunch of people wanting to hear their own voice, and I'm why? There's 500 other podcasts saying the exact same thing as you. Yeah, I just don't really like podcasts, except some really I listen to ones about ultra running and cool nerdy type podcasts, but not spiritual podcasts. So anyways, the Lord just told me you need to start a podcast. You need to share the stuff that you have on your heart for young women, and you need to call it Courageous Womanhood. And so it was just something out of God just telling me to do it. And I was I have no clue how to do this. And I'm the type of person who really likes to have my ducks in a row. I like spreadsheets, I like things like that. And I was I don't have a podcast place. I don't have any equipment. I don't have a house. Zadok and I were living in a little 100 square foot little camper with no running water or anything, just parked in the woods. If you guys have been there, Laurelyn and Ashlyn slept on the floor in our 100 square foot camper at the base of our bed because it was storming outside. And Zadok was it's storming so bad they can't sleep in their hammocks, and then they crawl in and cram in to, they're laying all wedged in the camper. So, and I was okay, Lord, I need to do this, but I have nowhere to do it. So I just was okay, I guess I'm just gonna do it. And so I recorded it in my car in the Tennessee heat with the air conditioning blasting. I'm still believing someday for a place to record and all of that stuff. But just to say you're not going to fully feel prepared and ready for God to tell you what he wants you to do. And when we try to have all our ducks perfectly lined up, honestly, there's never a perfect time. Because honestly, this is not the perfect time for me to be doing this event. It's not the perfect time recording a podcast. It's you don't feel ready, but God doesn't tell you to have everything lined up. He tells you to be willing and to do it. And one time that really shocked me is I was in college, and this guy said that the Lord had come to him and told him to write this book. And he was wow, God, thank you so much for choosing me. He was well, actually, you were my 5th option because everyone else said no. I told them to do it, and they said no. And I was wow, I never want to be that person who decides, oh, maybe in a year, maybe in 5 years, maybe when I'm ready. Maybe once this happens in my life, maybe once I have all this, this amount in my bank account and this level of security and this amount of training, this amount of this, then I'll do it. But guess what? You do all that and it's still, you're going to find another excuse. And it's time to I just want to get rid of excuses. There's so many things I feel I could have an excuse to not do something. And God doesn't say, once you have everything lined up, I'll tell you what to do. You can serve me once you feel you have your life together. No, it says give up your life. Give up all those comforts. And so that's kind of how this here, and I meant to mention that last night. But my heart this morning is the one line that keeps coming to my head is, your life is not about you. And often we say like, oh yeah, my life's not about me, I'm so selfless, but honestly, there's a lot that we don't realize, that we're actually making our entire life about us and not about God. And just as we were singing those worship songs, I was just thinking about like, wow, like God, like you gave me everything. Like he came perfect, came to earth, died on the cross for a bunch of people who hated his guts, and he was perfect, never sinned, chose to die for me. And then he says, hey, Claire, follow me. Like I get to live the privilege of following the King of the universe who gave us everything for me. And I'm like, you gave everything. Like I think we don't realize what we were saved from. Like honestly, like most Christians, we just like, we claim Christianity, we follow God, but we don't realize what we were truly saved from. Like Zadok tells me all the time, and I think someone told you this, like you need to preach the gospel to yourself regularly. Like actually realize what Jesus did for you. And recount like, wow, like you really gave me everything. Like how could I not give you everything? Like I can't have an excuse. Like it gets rid of all your excuses when you realize the sacrifice that was paid for you not to live your selfish life. Like he did all of that so you could serve him and so he could use you. And I'm just shocked that like, wow, God, you're actually choosing to use me. Like you want to use every single person, and God's made each of you guys so unique to live out the life he's called over you. Like you aren't supposed to look like the person next to you. You're not supposed, like I feel like we have this like box in Christianity. Check this box. This is what it looks like to be a godly woman. Check that off and you're good. You're good to go. You got your free ticket to heaven. You got your fire insurance. You're good to go. Check this box. You're a good woman. But then that gets rid of the relationship. And God wants relationship. And your actions come out of that authentic relationship with the lover of your soul that's everything that you need. And your actions follow that deep love for God who just totally gave everything. And so like that song, Jesus Have It All, like that's my life song, like have it all. Like even things in my life, I'm like, oh, that's still something I need to surrender. Like if you're not continuously surrendering, like are you truly, really following God? When we think we have it all surrendered, we need to dig a little deeper because there's probably still more that we're holding on to that we don't even realize. And you guys were bought with a price. Like you guys were bought with such a high valued price. And like if someone were to give you a really, really nice gift, someone you love gives you a really nice gift, and you just take it, put it on the shelf, and let it collect dust. You never tell anyone about it. You never look at it again. It's just something like, oh, wow, that's so nice of you. Let me put it on my shelf and never look at it again. Maybe I'll put it in a box. And often I feel like that's how our faith is. Our Christianity is we accept Jesus, then we put it in a box up on the shelf, and we never look at it again because we feel good without realizing that this gift was meant to be shown everywhere. Like the greatest gift ever. And like if someone gives you a brand new car, are you going to park it in the garage and never drive it? No, you're going to want to drive that everywhere. Like if someone gave me a big loud truck, I would be driving that thing downtown everywhere, okay? I like big trucks, okay? So even though we drive a Prius, that's, in my head, it's a truck. I try to picture it, it doesn't work. But,
it identifies.
Yeah. Just like I identify as 6'4". Yeah, we wouldn't park our nice car in the garage and never drive it. And I feel like that's how often our faith is like we just park it in the garage and we still drive our dumpy little beater car instead of actually like showing off the essence and the presence and the smell of God everywhere we go and sharing the gospel and being authentically who God created us to be. And this is the big thing. You don't get to define who you are. And we try to define who we are. Well, okay, can I just be honest? I don't like personality tests. And because people try to stand behind a personality test. Yeah, well, I'm just introverted. Oh, I'm just extroverted. Oh, I'm just this way. Oh, yeah, that doesn't fit my personality. Sorry. Personalities aren't something you read about in the Bible. If you're like an extrovert personality, share the gospel. If you're an introvert, sit on your couch and do nothing. And I'm not dissing introverts. I'm just dissing this whole mentality that you can hide behind a persona of a personality that you think you have instead of realizing it's not, that's the flesh. What about the refined by God version of you? Because I used to be, I did not like talking in front of people. I was, more shy, like I'm good background person, don't need to, I still don't really fully love being up here. But I don't get to choose that. I don't get to choose if I feel comfortable about it or not. Because if God told me to do it, that means I need to do it. And so it's time that we stop hiding behind our personality or this thing and this label we put on ourselves and then think that, well, we just get to hide behind that. I'm just not that way. Well, have you talked to God about it? I don't know if God's telling you to do that, because then that's us that's being so selfish. Because God put stuff inside of you that's supposed to be given as a gift to others. He doesn't give you something to withhold it. He gives it so that you can give it out. And so you hiding behind that is hiding a gift God's commanded you to give to other people. We talk about the story of the talents, and we can think about it monetarily with money. But I think about it for my life. What are those things that God's given to me that I'm digging a hole and I'm burying it in the ground? And I'm not actually growing and expanding and taking a risk. Investing takes risk. Stepping out of your comfort zone and becoming who you're called to be takes risk. That means putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. That means failing. That means messing up. That means, stumbling over your words when you share the gospel. Have you ever found that when you go share the gospel with someone, you're really good at asking them how their day was? Or, oh, I really like your outfit. And then you feel the sense, you need to share the gospel with them, and then all of a sudden you start slurring your words and you stutter and you don't get it all out right. It's because that's the truth of the gospel is so real and alive that it's almost it's so weighty. And then you begin to share it and all of a sudden you can't get anything out right. But that doesn't matter. The Holy Spirit is in you. And he's in me. And it says, don't be afraid when you go before kings and people. I'm going to give you the words to say. And so I just want to release you guys from even labels people have put on you. I've been around so many people put labels on stuff. Doctors put labels on stuff. And it's not who you are. It's not who God says you are. It doesn't talk about anything in this Bible about getting to hide behind some personality or cover or diagnosis. You're above and beyond that. And we have to live in kingdom reality, not earthly reality. We have to live in a kingdom that's not of this world. And when you give your life to Jesus, you become no longer of this world. You become of a kingdom reality, and so you have to begin to walk out and live in that. And so let's go. I have 1 Corinthians 9:27. Let's see. Yeah, so I was thinking of the scripture as we were preparing for doing the workout this morning, and someone actually mentioned it, and I was like, well, yeah, I was going to mention that this morning because it totally relates. And it says, I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching to others, I myself might be disqualified. And like I said last night, I never want to be unable to accomplish what God has on my life because of the ways I've been holding myself back and lacking training. And even spiritually, we have to be spiritual athletes. We need to be physical athletes to train ourselves for what God has for us. You need to dig in, and you actually need to know what's in here. And so many people go based off what everyone else says, and they don't truly know deeply what's in here and what they believe. So then when they're trying to share the gospel with someone, when hard times come, they fall apart. And I want to be able to have an answer and be ready in season and out of season. In all times, be ready to give a reason for the hope that's within me. And so, but I was really thinking about the physical side of it this morning of why do we do that? Why did I add PT into it? And there's so many things in the physical that relate to the spiritual. And for me, it was more about the mental side of going, I'm going to push myself into something uncomfortable, because guess what? You working out is not even about you. And we make getting physically fit about us and how we look and how we feel. And you know what? The reason I work out is for God. It's not that I thoroughly enjoy it, although I feel great afterwards, but I feel like in this society, there's such a what women should look like, what, the perfect physique and like all that. I just want to talk about that, honestly, this morning, because I'm so tired with seeing how it's destroying women's lives. And the reason I did the PT is because we're training to do what God's told us to do. That's the whole reason. It's not anything else besides that. Because your body is a temple, and I want to take care of the temple that God's given me, because we can be so spiritual and all this on the inside, but if we aren't physically prepared for what God wants to do, that's being a courageous woman. That's saying, I'm going to do something different. And it's courageous is something that you put that mindset, and you have to put it into action in physical things. Because when we were like, for example, in Burma, we were going to go on the 2-month mission, and the local girls are like, but you are not Karini. You're going to hike with us? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with you. Because there's such a stigma, like, you're from America. Like, they see what they see on media, which is these just rich, can't do anything people. And so I ended up hiking with them. You're wanting to say, I ended up beating all the girls, me and Ashlyn, hiking faster than all the ethnic girls, and I had like double the amount of weight in my pack. And I don't say it out of pride, but I say it out of being prepared and physically preparing your mindset. Like, honestly, even though on the inside I was like, how am I going to get up this mountain? I have no food in my system. I had on the second mission, I had a little bag of gummy bears that I found in Thailand. I brought them, and I'd get like 1 or 2 a day. And I'd be hiking up the mountain, and I'd be like, just need a little boost, and I'd like suck on this little gummy bear. And I was like, oh, I can keep going. I can do this. A couple grams of sugar is in my veins. And so, yeah, I'm really passionate, honestly, about health and fitness. But I want to talk about it from like a different perspective than I think we hear about a lot. And each of you is created in the image of God, perfectly and wonderfully made. And He did not make a mistake with you. And I wish I would have been told some of this stuff. And it's time that we break that stuff off, because it becomes such a bondage for people to be able to live out what God's called them to do because of these insecurities, and it passes down. And so I want to end it with me so my daughters don't deal with that mindset that I had to deal with. Oh, I'm the wrong size, I'm this. No, God made you perfectly the way you are. You are supposed to become the best version of you and go, how do I become the most physically best person that I'm made to be without it ever becoming bondage? Because so often, weight and all of this and looks becomes an idol in our life, because it consumes our thoughts more than God consumes us. We think about our food or how we look, and we look in the mirror and we hate on how we look, and that is not healthy. That means you are bigger than God, because you're thinking about that, and it's become an idol, and it's idolatry, and it's a sin, and it's not okay. And a lot of women do it. It's no matter what age group. And it's not okay. And I still have to continually fight it. And you look in the mirror, and then, you know what? I'm not doing that. I'm not playing that game. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, and I'm not going to let this have control of my life. Because my life is for God, and how I look and all that, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing for me is just being physically able and ready and stewarding my temple without it ever becoming an idol. And someone told me this story, and there was this gorgeous painting that had been done. And this person walks up to it and looks at it. It was this beautiful landscape scene. It's why was that flower painted there, and that bird, that looks so weird. And the painter, then the artist comes up and goes, well, I put it there because I like it that way, and I think it's beautiful. And when you go in the mirror and you critique yourself, your personality, your looks, you're saying, hey, God, the painter, you didn't do a good enough job. I could have done better. And when I realized that, it struck me at the core, because I'm telling God, the creator of the universe, hey, you messed up. You could have done better. You could have made my nose look a little different. You could have made me taller, shorter. You could have, changed all this different stuff that I'm critiquing about myself, and it's not okay. And it really hit me when I realized I'm telling God, you messed up. And when I realized that, I was like, how dare I tell God that he messed up? Because who thinks God is perfect and doesn't make mistakes? So if you believe that, then you believe that God didn't mess up with you. He didn't mess up with your smile, your voice, how you talk. He didn't mess up with the desires that he put inside of your heart, the quirkiness that you have, because we all have funny quirks. He didn't mess up on any of that in how you look. And he didn't tell you to compare to the person next to you. He told you to become like him. And what's you becoming like him look like? That means giving your all in everything. That means laying aside all the weights that would entangle you. And so for each of us, it can be different, but it could be how we view fitness, how we view working out, how we view food, how we view different things. And it goes, what is an idol in my life that I need to get rid of? And maybe it's even things standing in your way of, well, I couldn't do that. And I was talking to a couple of you guys this morning after the cold plunge and stuff, and one of you was like, well, I was thinking about how many people didn't come because of this. So what are the things in our life? And then she did it, and she's like, it wasn't that bad. And then she was like, well, it made me think of all the things in my life that I've said no to because I thought I couldn't do it. So what are the things in our life that we say no to because we just think, well, I couldn't do that? Or even in the PT, like some of you, I think, did more than you expected. Because honestly, all of you are capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. So much more. And like your mind is so much stronger than you realize. And especially when you have the mind of Christ and you have God's strength, you can do so much more. Like the amount of times I'm like, if I would have been a year before I went to Burma and heard what I was eating and what I was surviving on, while in the States, if I skip a meal, I feel like I'm going to pass out. I would have been like, there's no way I could have survived on 2 handfuls of rice a day and physically done that. And you know what? I did. And you can do, when God calls you to something, he doesn't do it based on, well, Claire needs a certain amount of calories a day, so I don't think I can let her do that. No, he gives you the strength for what you need. And honestly, you don't need as much as you realize. Like we think we need so much more and all this fancy stuff. And when this time is right, then I'll get in shape, or then I'll do this, or then I'll do what God's called me to do. And you guys are made in the image of God. And I wanted to talk about health and fitness here, but I was like, you know what? I don't really need to focus on that. What we need to focus on is our heart. And when we live in that life of surrender, of going, here I am, God, send me, have it all. It means you get my heart, my mind, my will, my body, everything. It's for you. And Zadok always uses terminology. He's like, we have a temporary earth suit here. We get a new one when we go to heaven. And so I want to take care of this earth suit that I have because God gave it to me. And so who am I to not take care of it? And so we're called to take care of it. And I want to be the 70, 80-year-old woman that can run up the mountains because of the fact that I chose to continue to take care of myself now and into the future so that I can still be that radical grandma that is serving God and not held back because of physical inability. So even with health and what you eat, well, as a missionary, you have to eat the best thing that is set before you. Like in Burma, some of the food, I'm like, Lord, bless this food to my body. Everything's cooked in soybean oil and all these refined oils. And then there's a pig that they butcher and it's sitting out with no refrigeration for 5 days and you're eating on it and they smoke it, but it's third world smoked over a fire. So it's not very sanitary. The flies are all over it, the chicken's all over it. And don't eat sugar here. But then at a little bamboo shop. I'm like, give me all those Asian Oreos, give me all this. And I'm buying like all these sugary treats because I'm like, I need the calories and I need to be able to keep going. I need to be able to do my best and give my best to all the people that I'm with and not be, well, I can't touch that forbidden food right there. So it's like it's all in balance of like, you eat what's best that's set before you, you don't make it an idol, and you have that freedom in your life. But then when you're home, like honestly, I eat like really healthy when I'm home. And I prioritize eating really healthy, just like whole foods and meats and vegetables and not a bunch of heavily processed, because I do value my body and being able to have the most longevity in my system, being able to run and me have the most energy and how I feel the best. And in not following a bunch of trends or like doing this, but just prioritizing like, how do I feel the best, accomplish the best, but it's all with the purpose of how am I best gonna do what God's called me to do. That's the whole that's my reason for my existence and waking up. So how do I gear my life around the mission of following God and doing whatever He's called me to do? And I don't want any of you guys to be held back because of places that you're in and stuff, and held back from what God's put over your life. And often our mind's what holds us back. Oh, well, I couldn't do that. Well, I wake up going, here's an example. Before I went to Burma, Zadok can testify, a lot of people can testify because I told many people, I absolutely have a deep disgust for running. Do not like it. Hate it. Passionately. And I was like, I don't care. I'll do every other workout but running. Do not like it. Then I go to Burma. I'm hiking up all these mountains. And I would do I'd do cardio, but I would do anything to not run. Anything. I'd do anything. Burpees. I'll take burpees. I don't want to run. And then we go to Burma, and then I'm in Thailand on a visa run. And I'm like, you know what? I should probably go for a run. I'm like pretty fit right now. I should see how I feel. And then I run a 5K, and I'm like, wow, that felt pretty good. And then I decide, you know what? I'm going to run a half marathon this fall. And I was like, you know what? It's something I said I'd never do, so I'm going to choose to do it. This is a mountain in my life that I'm going to choose to conquer and be like, I'm not going to allow anything to be like, no, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. Because honestly, it's just me selfishly just, my way. I'm not going to do that. And I'm the type of person, and I think every one of us should be, those things that we hate in those mountains of our life, we need to get rid of them and we need to demolish them and conquer them. And so right now I am training for a half marathon end of November. But now I love it because it's my time that I listen to messages that just fire up my soul. And I'm not I don't like listening to music. I listen to stories about missionaries and about God and just David Hogan and Daniel Kalenda and just on fire people that are just on fire for God. And that's my motivation. I'm just this is me and God. This is me. I'm not thinking about my body and this miles that I'm having to run, but it's that purpose that I'm living for. So that's what I'm listening to. And I'm not listening to music or trying to pump myself up. God pumps me up enough, and getting to be oh yes, I'll do anything. I'll hike all those mountains to get to unreached people groups and I'll serve God. And so many women have been oh, Claire, I could have never done that. Well, true, you might have died because you're not prepared. Just being honest. Somebody well, yeah, because you haven't purposed to make decisions in modern America where you have comforts to put yourself out of your comfort zone. And so I encourage all of you to purposely do things that put you out of your comfort zone and be hey, I'm going to push past this mentally. I'm going to decide whatever that is for you. For everyone, we have a different mountain of uncomfortability. But it's that thing to push past to where you don't have that I can't verbiage in your mind. There's so many things that I think about it. It's years ago, we're oh, I couldn't do that. Oh, for me, it was I could never run 13 miles. And you know what? I'm you know what? I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm not going to stop saying I can't do this and holding myself back. Because honestly, you're holding yourself back from so much more than you realize. And so I have some more verses. I have Proverbs 31:17. So I'm going to be a little bit countercultural in the sense that I grew up hearing Proverbs 31, the Proverbs 31 woman, and it's awesome. But it's been misinterpreted. Just saying, like, I believe it's been totally misinterpreted to these passive, little, meek homemakers. And you know what? I cook food. Like, me and Zadok still have very, like, roles. Like, I do the cooking and, like, different things like that. But I think we've made it so not what God had designed. And so there's this verse in there. I think most people, they don't read this one. She's energetic and strong. Some versions say she strengthens her arms. That means she works out. And she is a hard worker. So this one is she is energetic and strong, a hard worker. Other versions, like she strengthens her arms. And I never knew that verse was in there growing up. Like, I just saw that, you know, you got to be like sheepish, non-strong woman. And I mean, I had to work through some things in the sense that I went the opposite of like, yeah, no guy's going to top me. I'm going to carry my stuff. How dare he try to help me? And because I can do this. Ashlyn, I'm just kidding. Sorry. It's only because I know you. There's more of us in here probably. But where it just like, then I went through my poncho. And then I realized like there's the balance of realizing we are called to be strong. And there's a beauty in that strength that God has also given women the grace to carry, in the sense of you're called to be strong, but you're also called to submit to God. And it's not about you and showing off and being the stronger than the guys, you know. Oh, look at them twig arms. I could break those. You know, I had a few of those thoughts. You know, because I went to some some youth groups and like like I was around some, I'm like, man, like the video game nerds. I was like, oh man, want to do a push-up contest, buddy? You know? And I'm so thankful I have a very strong husband. That was one of the very important things on my list. But what I'm trying to say is like, it's not out of a prideful thing. And I think we've made it to where like, oh, if you're strong, then it's put with the sense of like pride. But in reality, the strength is something like a beautiful grace to get to walk in, of knowing that you are strong, but having the grace to be able to let somebody be stronger than you. Because it was like, I'm going to be stronger. Nobody's going to top me. Nobody's going to beat me. I'm going to, I'm going to be stronger. And it was also of a self-defense mechanism, I think, in a sense of like, I'm going to be stronger. I can't be weak. And God had to teach me that it isn't okay to be weak, but so many women just dictate their life by their weakness. And they let their emotions completely rule their life and their feelings. And this puts me on a tangent. Okay, so one thing that really has bothered me a lot is women pulling excuses at a certain time of the month to say, I get to be mean and cruel and dramatic, and I get to be so rude to everybody around me, and I get to be whiny and weak, and it's not okay. And I'm so not okay. And I heard people talk like, dude, I'm like, this is so not okay. God made your body to do that. So why are you using it as an excuse in your life? Like, I'm sorry, like, I'm so glad I'm not a man and the things that they have to do. And I'm so glad that I am not called to be the provider. Like, God has put men in that position. I will take a monthly thing any time of the month. Okay? Not the week. Please, not every week. Please. But what I'm saying is, like, we let it dictate our emotions. And we think it's a right to be a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And it's not okay. And you know what I'm talking about. And there's so many people, like, I live with girls, oh, she's on her time of the month. We all know. Guys, get out of the house. It's the girl's time. And it's not okay. Because God, like, obviously, sometimes there's hormone imbalances and trying to, like, that's why being fit and healthy allows you to balance all that. But it's a time to not use things like that as an excuse in our emotions and let our emotions rule our life. Because emotions are incredible servants, but terrible masters. And too often, they become masters in our life. And it's something that I've had to like continue to work through. And before I met Zadok, I was like, I'm not allowing this to happen. I'm not going to be that girl that, allows that to rule her life. And it's something I've had to continually go through. And I was asking Zadok about it. I'm like, should I talk about this? Because do I actually do it? Or am I a dinosaur and you don't tell me? And he's like, no, actually I've seen that you've learned to control yourself. Because it's called self-control. It's one of the fruits of the Spirit, and we're all called to walk in it. And we read all this fruits of the Spirit, but then we're like, oh, well, it's my woman stuff. Self-control doesn't have to do with that. But we're all called to walk in self-control. And just in anything, I've heard recently someone was telling Zadok and I, and they were like, yeah, so there's 3 people in the world. Men, women, and pregnant women. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to receive that. I'm not going to receive the fact that if you're pregnant, you become a dinosaur. And because if God made my body to, obviously I haven't been pregnant before, but it's something I'm telling you, before something happens, I'm like, I don't want that to be part of my life. I want to continue to submit. And God gave us self-control and he gave us free will. So he gave us the ability to overcome things. And he didn't give you the ability that you have as a woman to be used negatively. He gave you that gift. And so it's something that I just decided Zadok, I'm going to claim this. And I'm going to claim that this isn't going to be my story because I've heard of it. So once you're made aware of something, that means it gives you the power to actually know beforehand and be able to overcome it and not allow that to be a big issue in your life. And it also has to do with being humble enough to allow people to correct us and be like, hey, if I'm being a dinosaur, please tell me, instead of responding like a dinosaur when they say that, actually be like, I'm going to submit to what this is saying. This isn't okay because I don't want to be held back. If I would have been in Burma and allowing my emotions and all the stuff that I was dealing with, just being a woman to dictate, it would have been terrible. It would have been so bad. And me and Zadok's marriage wouldn't have been good if that would have happened. And so, it's not okay to allow emotions to rule our life. And we're called to be strong women of God, and that includes emotionally. It doesn't mean we can't cry. God gave us the beautiful gift of empathy. And it's something guys don't really have. And God gave us this amazing gift of being able to get in touch with feelings and see that person in the room that looks like they're not doing okay and be able to actually speak into them and talk to them and be able to nurture your children. And God gave us that beautiful, beautiful ability of empathy, but it needs to be submitted to God and coupled with the strength and grace. And so that's what I'm so passionate about is courageous women. They say no to the patterns that they've seen in the past and what this is just how women are and go, you know what? What does a deeper surrender look like? How would these patterns shift as I become more deeply surrendered? Because God gave us free will to choose. He's not going to manage us like robots. So it's this beautiful relationship of God, how do I give more? How do I surrender more? It's one of those things when I catch myself still, the emotions wanting to rule. And it's I have to say no. You got to cut that right in the throat and you have to stop it because the more you give room, it gets bigger and it gets bigger and it gets bigger until it's almost uncontrollable. And so getting to be able to control our emotions. And I used to deal with, I had a dad who was really angry, and then anger was something that I had battled with, of just lashing out and allowing my temper to, rule. And I had to realize this needs to be in submission to God. This isn't who I am. I'm not just an easily irritable person. That's not just how the way I am. No, I'm a child of God. That's my identity. And so I need to begin walking out in that. Okay, I have 1 Corinthians 6. Hmm. 19 through 20. Sorry, some of these verses are scattered, but I'm not really into bullet points. I'm into, Lord, what do you want to do? So 1 Corinthians 6, verse 19 and 20. Second. which says, "Don't you realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who lives in you and was given to you by God? You do not belong to yourself, for God bought you with a high price, so you must honor God with your body." And so this goes along when I was talking about that you are the temple of God. And we get the ability and the gift to get to carry his presence. We get to carry the essence of the character and nature of God within us. And each of us get to carry a unique attribute of God. Because the truth is, none of us are the same. But I get to experience a part of God through different people. If that makes sense, like someone prays that's like super happy and just like makes you feel seen. Like God makes you feel seen. And, just like the steadiness of Ashlyn and the joy that she has. And just like so many different people in this room that I call it, like you carry different significant attributes that are of God, that are of the nature of God. And it's just like, I'm just like, wow, God, like you entrust me. I'm just like sometimes still so shocked. We were listening to this message and the guy was like talking about, when people talk bad about you and, when people just want to like defend that and be like, like someone defending the other person. And the guy was like, well, actually, I'm so much worse than people would say, that Jesus had to die for me and he had to shed his blood for me. And I'm like, honestly, guys, I get so in awe and thankful for what God did for me. And like, it's just so like, I just get so overwhelmed sometimes, like, wow. Like, do we realize how much he loves us and what he did for us and the sacrifice that was paid, the ultimate sacrifice that like we can't even understand. So I just want to talk a little more into identity. And I feel like identity often gets wrapped in what you do, your personality. But your identity is you are a daughter of God. You're a child of God. And when you realize that, it changes your whole life. Because it doesn't become in what you produce. It becomes in who you dwell with and who you become like, and that's being a child of God. And that is who you are. That's who you're called to be, and that's how you're supposed to live out. Because I had at one point where my identity was wrapped up in what I did, and people like, oh, so what do you do? What do you want to do with your life? Where do you go to church? What denomination are you part of? And all of a sudden, like whether you realize or not, you preconceive ideas about people based on what they do. And that's the worldly way of thinking. It's not God's way of you're a child of God. You're God's daughter. He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. There's nothing too big for him. He commands heaven's armies. Like, why would you be afraid? Like 80% of things that you fear are never going to happen. And we have so many fears in our life. And there's actually a statistic that we were just listening to, done by a psychologist, like worldly, that 80% of the things people fear never actually take place. They never happen. And so I was thinking to like, what are my fears? So I need to go figure out how to conquer them. Like just being vulnerable, one of the things I always had not liked was the dark. And the other night, I went on a 6-mile run by myself in the dark. And it was just like those different steps in your life of going, I'm not allowing fear to take place. Like this is just irrational. Like all these things, it's just this thing we perceive in our mind of a fear of failure, a fear of messing up. And most likely, 80% chance nothing's going to happen. And so, and we have God. Like, okay, I just came from a war zone of drones and planes going over my head that could have wiped me out. And God is big enough to protect you, to care for you. And he cares more about your heart and you than you realize. So one thing that I did is when I was really wondering, like, God, who do you say that I am? Because I can't tell you, hey, you're beautiful. Hey, you're chosen. Hey, I can't tell you that. Because guess what? In one ear, out the other. You have to get it from God. You need to go to the scripture. And what I did is I went to the scripture and I went through, God, who do you say that I am? And I found every scripture I could find that had to do with who I was. And I got a notebook and I filled it out where I am this. I am this. And I had pages of who God said that I am. And I went through a lot. I found a lot in like Psalms has a lot. And so I encourage each of you guys to do that and go, wait, like, who does God say that I am? Because we hear like, oh, you're beautiful. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I am beautiful. And it will fix all your problems. But no, it doesn't fix that heart of actually understanding who God says that you are. And speaking life, like reading those things out. Like there is a truth of you have to fake it till you make it sometimes. And you need to read out those things out loud. It says that, our minds get renewed by the word of God. And you have to read it. So I would take the list and I would read it out loud to myself every day until I begin to believe it. And speaking life over each other. So I encourage you, each of you guys here, to begin to just totally speak life over everyone. Like girls especially are so bad at tearing each other apart. Because anybody can be sarcastic and anybody can make humor by making fun of someone else. That is cheap humor. That is not true humor. Because that is easy to do. Anyone can do it. It doesn't take a funny or creative person to laugh at somebody else. And so I'm so passionate about encouraging everyone. And not just like actually looking them in the eyes. And if you think of something, say it. Instead of just like, oh, I don't need to tell them. Like, yeah, you do. Because the value of speaking life over people. I remember hearing the story about a pot, 2 different pots, and they planted a seed in one and a seed in the other, and one they spoke life over every single day, and one they spoke death over every day. And actually the one they spoke life over every day, I don't know if this truly real happened, but I think it did. I'm pretty sure it happened. And I still believe it, even if it is a fake story. And the one that they spoke life over every day for 30 days sprouted up and turned into a beautiful plant, and the other one died and withered and didn't even grow. And it's the same with us. And so what are the things, like you would never stand someone speaking to your friend the way you speak to you. Like if someone spoke to, my sister the way I have spoken to myself, like I would rat them out. I would be like, no, sorry, that's not okay. Like you don't talk to her that way. But then you will go ahead and tear yourself apart and speak to yourself the way you wouldn't stand someone speaking to somebody else. And God calls you so valuable, and it's not okay to continue to tear yourself apart. What God said is perfect. He said you're perfectly and wonderfully made, and we say that, but then we're like, oh, well, he could have done better at this thing, or he didn't really do that perfect. Like, are we going to take him at his word or not? And so I encourage you guys to really just go through the Bible and just really find, who does God say that you are? And honestly, stop shortchanging your guys' self. Like, you guys, don't gyp the world of the treasure that's inside of you. And hide it, and your voice of, if God's given you a voice, you need to use it. And so many other gifts that God's given you, because he gave you a gift for a reason. And he didn't give it to you so you could be selfish and keep it for yourself. Because he called us to be the light of the world. That means we have to shine. And remove all the idols in your life. What are the things that are consuming your thoughts more than God? And like of today, I was thinking like about our body image and like different things like that. But what are the things that consume our thoughts more than God? And those are an idol that we need to get rid of. That's idolatry in our life. And let's go to Colossians 3. Okay, Colossians 3. Okay, verses 2 and 3. Actually, I'm going to start at 1. Since you have been raised to new life with Christ, set your sights on the realities of heaven, where Christ sits in the place of honor at God's right hand. Think about the things of heaven, not the things of earth. For you died to this life, and your real life is hidden with Christ in God. Our life is not our own. We're supposed to die to us and everything that's us and this thing we claim to be us, and die and live for Christ and Christ living in us. And so could you guys do Jesus Have It All again? I just felt like when they're singing, I was like, I feel like we're really supposed to close out with that too, of just, honestly, Jesus Have It All. And I'm so thankful all of you guys are here. And I feel like God has something so unique and special for each of you guys and the different age groups of moms and daughters and like you being able to set new standards in your life, even as a mom, for your children, for your grandchildren, of realizing who you are and being able to pass that on so your daughters aren't dealing with the things that you had to deal with, and saying, I'm saying no to the enemy and where the enemy's been stealing and just having false identity. And so I just want to pray real quick, and then we'll do this song, and then we'll head over to lunch, and then at 1 we'll meet back here. Sound good? Jesus, I just thank you so much for who you are. God, you're so kind. You're so kind. And God, I ask right now that you would touch every single heart here, and that you would highlight the idols in their hearts, the idols in my heart, the things that consume us more than you consume us, God. And I just ask for an outpouring of identity as daughters of the King of Kings, of realizing the beauty that you've given them. And God, that we would be able to set a new standard of what it looks like to radically pursue after you, God. And God, I thank you for the temples that you've given us, God, these earth suits. And Lord, I just ask for wisdom for each and every person of how do we steward it well, and how do we not be held back by our physical inability for the things that you have called us to do. And so God, I just ask that you'd bless every person here, and you would just highlight to them who you say that they are, and that all the voices that negate them, the voices that they heard growing up, the different, of people saying who they are, and that, they're not smart, or they're not this, or they're not that. God, I ask that you'd remove those lies, and that you'd pinpoint those lies that they've been believing that have been holding them back from who you've called them to be. In your name, Jesus.